Well, welcome back to the workshop. Pretty chilly out here, so I don't think I should be long doing any machining. Just to carry on from where I left off on the last video, I've started on the mounts, but I'm going to carry on with that today. And in the meantime, I've had a quick measure up of the top plate, and unfortunately one of the mounting holes in that is after the collision with the column and the subsequent out of tram of the vise is out of alignment, so I'm going to have to try and sort something out with that. It's not far off, mil and a half maybe. I might be able to get away with it by drilling one of the mounting holes in the mounts offset, but I'll come to that later. In the meantime, over to the mill and I'll carry on doing the mounting cutouts. Luckily for you, I didn't video any of that. I've cut out the first chunk out of this side. It's nearly to depth. I'm going to go along with a 4-flute cutter and take it down to final size, but I'm using my trusty 4-flute hogging 10mm diameter cutter, and I'm not today but tomorrow I'm going to start cutting out the other side to bring this central section down to 14mm wide, hopefully symmetrical about the centre line. And there you are, you're about as up to date now as I am, so I've got cold enough for today. I'm going in for yet another cup of tea, and we're away for a couple of days now, so it'll be Thursday or maybe even Friday before I manage to get back out here, but it'll seem like only a few seconds to you. Well, in an effort to cut down the length of the video, I've made a start cutting out this other side of the mount. The roughing cutter was taking ages to take the smallest cuts, and when I inspected it, I reckon it's lost the edge right at the very tip, so I've changed it out and I've put in an ordinary 4-flute milling cutter now, and this is taking out much bigger chunks than I could with the roughing cutter, strangely. But there we are. This is I've resharpened this one. The flutes are practically new, so I'm making good progress with it now. I'm only taking a 2mm depth of cut, but I'm going across 3mm at a time. So, like I say, making fairly good progress, and I'll carry on and bring you back when it's either nearly finished or finished. Well, I'll just kick the tripod, so probably not quite aligned as it was, but there we go. I think I've finished the milling now, and now comes the acid test. Wipe it all down cleanish, and the tag in the middle is 13.84 at that end, 13.82 at that end, so that's close enough. Well, let's see, tighten that up, and if it fits in there. Yeah, that goes through, or sits nicely in the table slot, so I'm going to call that done. Just needs levelling up and then all the holes drilled in. I've decided I'm going to drill through this side an 8mm tapping hole, and tap the first, I don't know, 10mm deep 8mm taps, flip it over when I've drilled the dowel holes, and then drill from the top down about another 10mm deep, an 8mm clearance hole, so that when I flip these over and put them in the slots, screw down through the table, I'll be obviously screwing in from the top side, but screwing into a threaded bush, a portion here, and then that will secure them to the top plate. Then I'll see where we go from there. So that's it for the moment. I'm frozen to death, so I'm going to call it a day for now and come back out again tomorrow. As you, I hope, can see, I've spot drilled the positions of all the holes I've got to drill. I've also scored across with the spotting drill. Naughty of me, I know, but that's where the cuts are going to go. And I'm now going to drill through. I've rummaged through my old drill stock, and I've managed to find a 4.9mm drill, which I shall run through as a clearance hole for, or a pilot hole, I should say, for the large holes, and initial hole for the 5mm dowels, which I shall then ream through afterwards. I'm about to start drilling those, and I'll bring you back when I've finished. Yeah, that wasn't too painful, was it? Well, at least not for you, it is for me. It's bloody freezing out here, just above freezing in fact. Nevertheless, I'm now going to ream the 5mm holes, see how I feel then, and I might just do the clearance holes for the 8mm tap. We'll see how I get on. But you're not going to see me do any reaming, because luckily I tried a dowel pin, and typical, the drill has drilled oversize, and the 5mm dowel pin is a easy sliding fit in those holes, so no need to ream, but there is a need for me to Loctite them in when the time comes. So onto the clearance holes for the 8mm tapping. Like I said, I'm only going down 10mm or so into that with the tap, but I shall drill all the way through. and then flip it over to the other side to do the 8mm clearance hole. Just to finish this section off, then I've tapped all the holes a little over 10mm deep, and whilst I cogitate on what to do next, I think before I take it out and lose the registration, I'll have a little think about what I'm going to do, and then get on to the next stage. But that's it for now. I'm going in to warm up and get a cup of tea. It'll be a while before I'm back out here, I think 24 hours at least. See you later. A different day, same temperature, and I'm just about to flip the mounting pieces over and relocate it for drilling through, and the clearance for the 8mm bolts. What I've done is lined it up with the threading size drill, and I'll take that out, and like I say, flip it over. I may have to just de-rag that a bit. There, that shouldn't throw it off too much. And where was I? There we are. Amazingly, that lines up quite well. So I've now got to take this out and put the 8mm clearance drill in, and just take those out to size. So I changed the collet and the drill. Well, you can amuse yourselves. I hope you amused yourself well. Drill's now in. I've brought the drill down to the top of the workpiece and zeroed the quill DRO, and it's now a matter of drilling these 4 holes out to a depth of 10mm. I'll probably fast forward this bit. That's one. Now I've got to move forward to 69.5. Rinse and repeat. Okay, well I hope I fast forwarded that. Okay. All went well except for that one. I went down to 12mm by mistake because I wasn't keeping an eye on the quill DRO, but it serves no real consequence. Next job is to take it out, to use the bandsaw to chop them up into smaller chunks. Because of the dimensions I've used, I've ended up with about 3mm to take off the end here, so I'm going to try it with the hacksaw, the bandsaw rather, just to save milling away with the roughing cutter end mill. We'll see how it goes. Perhaps I can switch it on. Oh, doesn't like the cold weather. Well, there we go. Not exactly hot knife through butter, but probably slightly easier than doing it with a hacksaw. The interesting one will be the last one because there's not much to grab hold of there, and I'll show you how I get around that problem when I come to it. Now, as I said, there are two ways of doing it. Normally my short bits of material I put in this vise which I've machined down to hold it in the larger machine vise here, but it's not very stable in this condition because it's just a little bit too large to be useful, so I'm going to do it the other way. Take that out, whack that in there as normal, and just use another piece of this stock to stop the jaws swivelling, hopefully, and that will keep it sufficiently rigid, I hope, to do the cut. Otherwise it's doing it by hand, and I'm probably sure I don't want to do that really. Having said that, it would keep me warm. That'll do. Well, the overall length of these is of course not critical, though I am going to take them back to the mill and just clean up the ends with an end mill and take them down to the same overall length, just for neatness. I've jumped forward a bit here. What I've done is I've got the plate off the bench. I've inserted the mounts underneath. They're in the T-slots. This was the hole that was drilled in the wrong place because of the collision I had with the column. I've moved the hole over 1.5 millimeters, countersunk it again, and it well, don't look too bad. It's now flat on the table and hopefully aligned. I've got to put in some dowel pins and a parallel to clamp down, and then I shall check whether this trams correctly. If it doesn't, I think I'll probably end up chucking it all in the bin. If it does, well, I'll carry on. It looks like if I move the table out, I shall be able to true up this edge with the holes, assuming that they are actually in tram with the table. Let's just as a stop gap, let's try that. That's what 21.66, and that is 20. Check over here. 22.5, and that is 24.5, so something's out somewhere. Oh well, let's see what happens when I stick the dowel pins in and put a DTI along it and see how it lines up or not, as the case may be. Now that's for another day. I've done enough for now, and well, you'll see what happens in the next shot, I expect. Here's a bit of handheld footage just to show you the setup I'm using to check the alignment of the holes. What I've done is put a couple of dowel pins in the holes here and here, two parallels and adjustable parallels, just sort of squeezing them apart. I've also set up a dial indicator with a magnetic stand on the column, elephant's foot on the end of the dial, and I shall run it backwards and forwards along the face of this ground parallel to see how much run out there is. So I'll mount this on the tripod and we'll see what happens. Right, if we've got you lined up on the dial indicator, I'll just move the x-axis so that it lines up on 0 to make it even easier to see. Oh, that moved it a bit. Right, Y is now zeroed and locked, and if I move the X and I assure you that the elephant's foot is in contact with the parallel, you'll be amazed, as I was, that there is half a gnat's whisker of deflection come out, so that you can see that I'm not actually cheating. So, despite my best efforts to muck the whole thing up, the holes are in fact parallel with the table, as near as damn it. So overall, something's worked out in my favour for a change. So next job is to break down this setup, flip the table over, and drill the locating dowels into the plate from the reverse side. That in itself will be a bit of a problem, because although the holes are now parallel, the edges obviously will be at the angle they were after the collision with the column. So I will probably have to pick up each individual hole separately to do the drilling, but that'll just waste my time, not yours. And I'll crack on with that. Right, somewhat later, back at the mill, the top plate has been flipped over, and I'm about to drill through into the top plate through the mountings for the location of the dowels. The first one I've lined up by eye, and it slides in nicely. I've bottomed the drill onto the top plate, zeroed the quill DRO, and I'm about to drill in. Oh, you probably can't hear me. I'm about to drill into the top plate by 5-6 millimeters to position the locating down. So here we go with the first one. Let's hope nothing moves. Would make sense if I dropped either a bolt or a dowel pin in there just to hold it square, just in case it moves. Yeah. Ooh, that just clears. Slightly off even more. And I think I'll stick a bolt down there. Aha, yeah, that did move. That's not tight. Right, I'll have to rethink this. So I'll switch you off so you can't hear me thinking. I drilled the second pair of holes. I drilled the first one, having made sure that this was secure as much as possible. Cleared out the hole as best I could without disturbing the setup, dropped a dowel pin down so that located it axially, moved up and drilled the second hole. So I'm now going to take the plate out, flip it over again, and just do a quick test fit on the table just to make sure things haven't moved. Keep fingers crossed. Oh god, that's heavy. Grabbed it. Can't remember which ones I've done now. That just needed a bit of a snuggle. That seat is okay. Right. I think what I'm going to have to do, because they're a bit of a sloppy fit, is Loctite the dowels, put it back this way up, set it down so that it's flat, and then tighten the nuts up, the bolts rather, up until the Loctite has set. So that's the way I'm going to go about it. I'll now repeat what I've just done on these two with these, and yep, that should finish that section off. Right, well I've finished drilling all the dowel holes, and at some stage I'm going to have to take all these mountings off. So I decided I'm going to number stamp them so that I get them back not only in the right orientation but back in the right place. I'm going to go in now, have my usual cup of tea, and then I'm going to edit this few sequences into the video, see how long it's getting. If it's getting too long, I'll finish it off, publish it, because I know you're itching to know what further mistakes I'm going to make, and then I'm going to come out and finish it all off with the last video. So, just in case, if you have been, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time, either in this video or the next. Bye for now.